Welcome back to the Hishaku Hideout, a weekly podcast where we talk about the latest chapter and everything Kagurabachi. I'm here with Dice,
Yo,
and today, instead of getting into a specific chapter because it's break week, we have an award ceremony for you. So, shout out to Kagurabachi Brazil because he kind of like inspired this whole thing. And really, we just kind of want to get cracking into it. But anything you want to say, Dice, before we begin?
well, man, I just think we're in for a treat. I think there were a couple of surprises here. Some things we didn't really weren't too excited to see, and other ones that we kind of expected. So I'm just excited to get into it.
Yeah, speaking of things we weren't like super excited to see, or not that we weren't unhappy with seeing it, but God, Samura's really got some riders because the winner of like best introduction is Samura, and he won it. Most of the Samura wins are like by drastic differences. Like he's got 62% in this poll.
Yeah, no, I mean by a landslide, right? I mean, we're not the biggest Samura fans as like, here in the Hishaku Hideout. Not that like, seriously speaking, like we like his character and all, but yeah, 62%. Seriously?
Yeah, for as they say, for the agenda, we can't really ride for Samura, but like him
Exactly.
objectively as a character, he's a great character. So we
Yes.
see why. I mean, and his introduction was pretty raw, his like design. I mean, like the dude's like a stud, right? And then he's not just that, he's really about that action even without his enchanted blade.
Yeah, like objectively speaking, I mean, I'll ask you who you voted for in a second. I voted for Natsuki just because I'm, biased towards that whole storyline. But objectively speaking, Samura does have like, I have to admit it, like the coldest introduction. What he does with like the cigarette is just, yeah, like chef's kiss. So it's warranted, I guess.
And it's cool because you first see Uruha do that with his hat. The same, like, throw it, then,
True.
it split. So it was like, oh, so this dude Samura is like that guy, he's doing it with a cigarette and all that. And the fact he's blind, it was really dope, and I voted for Hiyuki, which y'all really let me down. I think she's badass, coming in with the flame bone to challenge Chihiro. And then she just ate like the back of the blade. Like she knew he wasn't gonna go for the killing blow or whatever. It's like it was. I just thought it was a raw moment. I really like Hiyuki.
Yeah, most definitely. Most definitely a tough moment for sure. But hey, shout out Samura.
Yeah, Samura got that one. All right, so like on to the next one. For the second poll, we're gonna look at the fattest L in Kagurabachi, and thankfully y'all didn't let me down on this one. The winner is Kazan with 48%. And now Hirohiko came in second with 30%. But I want to know who you voted for, Dice. I'm not really worried too much talking about Hishaku and Kazane.
Yeah, well, I mean, man, I voted for Hirohiko on this one.
That's your boy. He has a video dedicated to Hirohiko.
Yeah, I mean, and I guess that's part of the reason why I also voted for him. It was kind of tough. I almost went full agenda and voted Kazane, but honestly, like the fact that Hirohiko really like he was so confident, he put everything into that one strike. He was just way over his head. Like to me, that just kind of like that's what like took it for me. Kazane just like we've talked about this before. Like he was just stupid to me. I mean, not Kazane. I'm sorry. He's stupid too. But Kazan, I'm sorry.
He's stupid too. Is he stupid? They both are.
Kazane stray. But yeah, but like Kazan is like I don't know. I guess it's like
the easy answer.
Yeah, exactly. It's like an easy layup. So I voted Hirohiko, but. Yeah.
Gotcha. I voted Kazan. I think it's just so funny. A boy caught a knuckle. Like he literally caught a whopper, right as he's like, oh, I'm really about to stir shit up. And then he just gets popped.
Yeah. The fuck you're not.
Yeah. Sit your ass down. Like think about it. That dude's been sitting down. Like, he's been sitting the fuck down since he got hit. That boy ain't moved. And one thing I'll say about what's funny about Hirohiko got like dicked so bad by Samura. People were literally saying, no, it looks like he's melting. He's about to use his third ability. Like, you know how bad you gotta get your ass beat to think motherfuckers think you're melting?
Oh, bro, it's crazy because both Kazane and Hirohiko got left on their ass. I'm sorry, not
Yeah.
Kazane, Kazan. I
Uh,
keep saying fucking Kazane.
yeah, he might as well.
He might as well,
And
right?
he's just in there for the meme, but I mean, P. Shaku, I expected him to. Honestly, I thought he was going to kind of get more votes. He
Yeah.
finished 17% in third, but like I just kind of thought recency bias, which you will see recency bias pop up in a little bit in this next one. But I'm glad the person who won this poll, won, and it's the best power up in Kagurabachi, which is Chihiro versus Samura, which I mean elevates Chihiro way up in terms of like battle, capabilities. But before we kind of get into who we voted for and talking about Chihiro, how is Ikuto getting 22% and beating Hirohiko getting like his enchanted blade with the hotel? How is Ikuto finishing ahead of Hirohiko? That's recency bias, in my opinion.
I don't know, man. It looks like people are a fan of that PTSD crash out.
Yeah, I mean, poor little Tink Tink at this point. He's laying on the ground. The mask is already shot. I mean, they can cap him pretty easy, so I think he's gonna like get done up here. But I don't know that Kumiyuri with the Hirohiko at this point was cooking. Everybody was like hyping Hirohiko up. This is before he started melting.
Yeah, this is before that. You know
But
what I just noticed just real quick, and it might just speak to Ikuto's power up being that good. Is like he's the only one that isn't an enchanted blade wielder in this poll.
I mean, Yura is like a
Yeah,
proxy, but I see what you mean. They're
yeah,
not using no powers of the EBs.
yeah. So
Yeah, he's using PTSD. It's a different acronym.
okay.
Yeah, I mean, I voted for Yura. I'm assuming you.
Yeah, same
Similar.
here, same here, same here. Chihiro against Samura, that's some next level shit. But again, just being a bit biased, or not a bit, but just full on biased, as well as like what Yura's doing like remotely, not being contracted with the Magatsumi, and just the way he set that up. Um, I think to me like I not just like agenda or anything. To me, that's what kind of took it for me. It's like not just what he's doing, but how he's doing it and like how he made it happen. Kind of played
Yeah,
into that.
the implications, and also I think like the capable. I mean, let's use the word potential. What he could potentially do at this
Mhm.
point where he's at, he could remove one or two big characters. He is now in a position where if he gets to the sword master or the sword saint, excuse me, he could kill him. Like what he is capable of doing, I mean, obviously, his potential at this point, but what he could potentially do could like really, cause a huge shift to the whole narrative in the universe. It's basically like Shibuya, like after Shibuya, how much like Jujutsu Society changed. That's what's in Yura's hands right now. It's like huge story implications. But the Chihiro versus Samura, I don't blame anyone for voting that one, because that's like such a heavy moment for Chihiro. It's what gave him the ability to open up Samura's eyes, because without him like locking in at that point, Samura probably wouldn't have changed his mind. So like I get people voting Chihiro and Samura. That's a good winner.
Yeah, no, for sure, like 100%. It's the only reason why Chihiro was able to kind of keep up with Samura, right? He doesn't do that if he's not able to kind of go to that next level. So yeah, I understand why it won for sure.
Gotcha. All right, so we can move on to the next one, and this is a Chihiro specific one. He's our main character, so I want to give him something specific, and it's Chihiro's best aura moment in Kagurabachi. And I mean, this one, Hirohiko is technically considered in the winner. At least it's Chihiro against Hirohiko. Is but at least he's a part of the gold.
Yeah, right. He got something, I guess. Um, Man, I was a bit surprised by just again how much of a landslide it was with, you know, the the one that people chose, which again it was that moment of Chihiro among like the paper sorcery. against Hirohiko, and 60%. Again, I was just a bit surprised. I expected the Cloud Gouger want to get a bit more votes. I definitely expected, the against Samura to get more votes. And the one I voted for against Sojo, I definitely expected to get more votes. I have a
You,
obvious bias for like Sojo and like that whole arc. But that aside, I just thought that panel itself, that moment, has way more aura than what is apparently being credited
let
or
me
whatever.
let me tell you something, my boy. You are one of 3 people who voted for that.
Fuck you.
Dead ass. There's only 3
Literally.
people who voted for that. There's 100 votes. I voted for the Hirohiko moment. I just think the Hokozuna was in his bag, and
Yeah.
him basically saying, gang full of killers, I'm a killer too. I'm about that life. I'm going to, I'm going taking a path to hell, and just accepting if he can't turn back. Which we see he gets challenged with this like later on. Obviously, this doesn't bleed into why I voted for it, but I just think it's a cool, callback. Him looking at Iori when he meets Iori and seeing like her life, and he's thinking like about the path that he's on. That could have been a possibility for him. You know what I mean? That type of life. But he chose this life, and he says, "I don't regret it. I wouldn't." He holds the memories to Kunishige dear, and he can't like anything different. He can't really like regret doing anything different. Like he's just got to accept the path that he's on because he's acknowledging his resolve. He's gonna follow this thing through because that's what he thinks he needs to do. And anyway, I just really love Chihiro in this moment. I'm surprised Cloud Gouger came in second though with 21%, because Chihiro, that same, what we just talked about, the power up, Chihiro had aura when he was just standing in that like little water section. I was about to call that bitch an ocean. Boy.
Yeah, but I do remember like people really glazing the fuck out of like Chihiro, literally telling an enchanted blade to lock the fuck in, essentially. And so, I to me, like I would see why it kind of takes it just a bit over that Samura moment, because again, just the whole idea of like, requesting an enchanted blade that your father forged to give it its all, like what's left of it, right? Because Cloud Gouger was broken down, and so if I wouldn't have voted for the Sojo one, yeah, the Hirohiko one, man, is just too good, because everything you just brought up, there's a clear reason why people, whopping 60% voted for it. So yeah, but I guess besides those two, the Cloud Gouger one makes sense why it was third, or
Yeah,
second. I'm
him.
sorry.
Oh, him whipping
Um,
that bitch out though. Pause. That went like that back in the Rakuzaichi reading that, because he pulls up, he's got his arm back. He got a mini nuke on him. That
yeah.
a halfway usage, but what he was able to accomplish with that sword was so fire. And the fact that it helped, just seeing that black lightning too against Yura, that moment was him with Cloud Gouger was cool. I would love to see him reforge Cloud Gouger somehow.
Yeah. No, I mean,
But
I just can't believe I was one of 3 people to vote
shout out
for
to
the
the 3%ers. That's your little group now, homie. Stand up in the comments. Which
squad.
yeah. And
Let's move
the
on,
other
man.
2 were just you on separate accounts.
Shh.
Yeah. All right. So here's where we start with Samura's whole thing. The best double spread winner is the Angel of Death. That beautiful spread of him entering in and the Bloodshed Hotel, and we know he meant business by his introduction. Like when that boy came through, when the black feathers started dropping, and you just see that, plus with Hirohiko and Chihiro whipping out their enchanted blades, man, that was a moment. Because what was that? That's right when that happens right when we jump back to the hotel, right? It goes Iori's like flashback, and then that's what we see when it comes back, right?
I'm sorry, what?
Him like the Angel of Death panel, the spread we're talking about.
Yeah.
When Samura comes on top, I don't want to say it like that. When Samura enters, you know, teleports to the top of the hotel. That happens after Iori's like flashback. You know, Iori's flashback
Yes,
happens,
yes,
and then
yes,
that it jumps to that. So we
yes.
just got all this information about like Samura and Iori. We see how she's looking, and then Samura's still just kind of coming in there like, man, fuck them kids. You know, he's just coming like an angel of death. I don't blame people for voting for that, but y'all did. My boy Ibiki got so much aura in the Enchanted Blade wielders versus the Sword Saint. That spread
Let
is
it
the
go,
best
fam.
spread. I'm not gonna like budge. I will. Y'all lucky I didn't like cheat and fudge the numbers. I
Yeah,
would have
well, I mean,
made 300 accounts.
that is the one I voted for as well, just because it's, Sate wore crumbs, and let's be real, like all enchanted blades in one spread, against the Sword Saint. I thought
All
that
back
was really
shots.
cool. All back, yes, all back shots. Um, but yeah, man, fucking Samura, man, that
Fucking
Angel of
Samura.
Death spread, yeah, and it really does feel like a movie. The whole first person perspective from Chihiro and Samura, like you said, just pulling up like a demon, bro. The wings, just the whole thing, the setup before that. Like you said, off the back of like the Yori flashback, so like the whole context is there, the implications. So yeah, that all kind of it makes sense. Um,
And
but
I
yeah.
do want to say that I thought the four-way clash would have. I mean, it did finish pretty close to the Sword Bearers versus Sword Saint, but now I could have. It was on me for choosing the Hiyuki and Chihiro versus Kiora spread. I do like that spread, but with like hindsight now, I was kind of like, I wish I would have took my time and chose a better spread. You know what I mean? To kind of compete. I don't think anything would have won or beat the other three, but just to have, I think it like just doesn't really stack up compared to those other three spreads.
Yeah, I mean, and I'll be honest, like even like again, I just have a bias because if it wouldn't have been the all enchanted blades, like the sword bearers against the sword saint, I would have picked the four-way clash just because of how much is going on in that spread. And again, like especially if we're removing like all context of what's happening and just looking at the art itself, to me it goes, sword bearers versus sword saint 1, four-way clash 2, and then angel of death. I do agree with what you're saying. Hiyuki, Chihiro, and Kiora, that's essentially like also like three enchanted blades clashing because of what Flamebone is. But it's just up against like really tough competition.
Titans of the story.
Yeah, like I think I agree with what you said. Like I think any other spread doesn't really there might be one we're kind of forgetting or something, but it's tough competition, those other three.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I mean, it's just Summer is popular. Fuck, it was. Yeah, you were kind of spitting on that pigeon, so shout out to you for like hating on it a bit. And Angel of Death would have been my second if I couldn't vote Sword Bearers, but I just think the Sword Bearers for Sword versus Sword Saint, it was like Hokuzono like feeding us.
Yeah.
He's like, just wait on it. Like you Samura people, y'all Samura sippers, y'all have enough. Y'all get the most like things to glaze. Samura's always got an aura.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on to what we got next. Next up, we got the best reveal in Kagurabachi. And the winner, which happens in, you guessed it, Iori and Samura's flashback, the malediction, which, I mean, is a huge reveal.
Yeah, this is definitely the biggest reveal, like by far the implications in the story. It's essentially like a whole lore drop. You and I we were pretty like early in getting this podcast running when we kind of covered that, and we had some pretty controversial takes, to say the least. Like you and me weren't too big on that how, that whole thing kind of was dropped. Uh
Yeah, we're like 200,000. That's it. No, I'm just playing.
yeah. I
No.
mean, we didn't think it was bad for the story. Like, the story still is, we still really haven't jumped into everything about that. Like, Kagurabachi is still clearly gonna play with the malediction and everything that went down in the Seitei War and the story of the Sword Saint. So that is still very much like still cooking the way I see it. But yeah, me personally, Hakuri's Awakening, just especially from like a narrative standpoint, and the execution is really really like what takes it, because that's what our issue was with the malediction reveal. It's the opposite with Hakuri's Awakening. So to me, it's just that was damn near perfect the way it was revealed.
Yeah, the execution of Hakuri's Awakening, like I'm not even gonna lie to you. Dead ass Hakuri's like flashback with the prisoner, the merchandise ice chick. That was a moving chapter, and it was like all wrapped up in one chapter. It wasn't like some lengthy flashback or anything like that. We didn't have to get super invested in that in that girl as a character. She just made an impact within like 20 pages. And it's through like what we know about Hakuri, why he ran away, this, that, and the other, and we see that, Hakuri is like struggling as well. He's like trying to find his own reason for like living. He wants to, you know, he wants to do something like he says, he wants to start being that person that like, Chihiro sees him as, or, I forgot the exact words he used, but he wants to save people, and Chihiro's like inspiring that, inspiring him to do that. So like all this is like happening, and then to cap it off, it's just, oh yeah, Hokuzona's like, oh yeah, here's one of the rawest like pieces of art I did up to this point of a single character. You know what I mean? The mask is already up. He's raw as fuck here, and we know he's like, got his brains like beat to mush now. But this little motherfucker had aura.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. Because like, especially, when you look at like what's happening and what the reveal is, like him having like being the first since the first patriarch of the Sazanami to awaken the storehouse, that is not kind of passed down to him. Again, that's not as big of a reveal as like the malediction. That's definitely clear. But
Agree.
just in terms of best, because of how it was handled and what it means for his character and even Chihiro's character, and that, and just the way the whole arc goes down, right? Which to this day is still regarded as one of the best arcs, which we will get into.
Yeah,
Um,
facts.
yeah,
And
man.
I've said it that I've recently made a video, and I talked about the best, like if you just took 10 chapters, like the best span of 10 chapters. If you look at the final 10 chapters of the Rakuzaichi, which starts at Hakuri's flashback and then to the end, pure, like, bro, that is like is the starting point to like one of like the best, like that fight with Kiora and Chihiro, Hiyuki and Hakuri, and the execution of that. It all starts because of this awakening. You know what I mean? This awakening like is the starting gun going off. But malediction just like has so much immense weight. Like it's it's what caused all this. It's the driving force behind of why the enchanted blades needed to be created, or not. It was the excuse me, what caused the trauma from the war. The malediction wiping out the whole Shikoku, and that's what like fractured the Kabunabi, or fractured Kazan and the other Kabunabi, and how people like saw that happening, and how people choose to like look at Samura. People look at Kunishige as a hero. Chihiro looks at Samura like an idol or like a hero, but the people that Samura lived around thought, had different thoughts about Samura. You know what I mean? And that all stems from the malediction.
Yeah, man. So,
I
even
was
if
yapping there, my bad.
no, but ultimately, like we see why the people voted that. Even if we both kind of agree on like we both voted for Hakuri, we definitely see why people voted for the malediction. So it does make sense.
Yeah, I think Hakure's Awakening is like the coolest looking one out of these. You know what I mean? Just like all like honestly, just that's what it is. That's one of those moments. But like the malediction is just has more story implications and all that. It's a heavier thing for sure. I'm surprised N10's True Purpose didn't do better though.
Yeah.
But one thing
Yeah.
I do want to say before we move on is to the person that said, "What does Iori even do?" Okay, you're cooking, but not everything needs to be said.
He's not cooking. He's
He's
not
cooking.
cooking.
I'm just playing.
Like Chihiro wouldn't be smoked if it wasn't for her. Please.
Not my goat. You drastically undervalue plot main character
Plot.
armor, that plot armor. Excuse me.
Yeah, I guess.
All right, so that was a good one, and now we're moving on to best arc. The best arc in Kagurabachi, which was kind of surprising to me that 60% of the votes went to Bloodshed Hotel, which I do agree that's what I voted for. So much has happened for Chihiro, for the story, for like everyone's favorite Samura. Had one of the best fights. But what'd you vote for, Dice?
Yeah, man, Bloodshed Hotel. Not for Samura, okay?
Yeah.
More Hirohiko, let's be honest. But no, in all seriousness, it's everything about it. It's Hirohiko, it's Chihiro, it's Reagan style general manager getting smoked.
Ikuto. No, not Ikuto. Ikura, the MVP.
Oh fuck, Ikura. It's everything, man. Masumi's bum asses. Some.
Oh yeah, I mean we do get the Iori flashback here. We get like Sumi pulling up on the bike at school, which that seals the deal with Sumi on the bike.
Yeah,
But,
no.
I mean,
Look,
Chihiro mastering a sword style happens here.
yeah, in all seriousness, like I was about to pick the Rakuzaichi, which actually came in second. Like I said, people, it is a great arc and among the best of the Kagurabachi. Clearly, most people think it's the second best. But it's just the excitement like week to week around the Bloodshed Hotel and kind of like the tension and really like because of how Samura was moving, Hirohiko's like ambitions, Chihiro like pushing himself to be a better swordsman because up to this point he's kind of just been relying on on N10 and like he's now pushed himself to becoming a better swordsman. The way Hokuzono like balances all those things and brings them together and even gives us like 3 enchanted blades clashing.
Oof.
Yeah, dude, this arc really, 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 really good.
Yeah, that's good points. One thing I'd like to highlight is like Kaguri. Kaguri's like, he kind of shows up in the very beginning of this. Him and Toto like at the market or whatever. And Kaguri's like got a pretty solid fan base, but he didn't really do a ton. He disappeared for a lot of chapters, but like Hokuzono is just so good about introducing these characters that have like important, not necessarily super important roles. Like they're just kind of like a henchman of the Hishaku in a grand scheme of things as of now. But Kaguri's like challenging Chihiro's mindset early on, and that's kind of paves the way for Chihiro to like really realize, oh, I do need to like appreciate the sword. I need to devote time and like learning this ability like fully. Like don't just I can't rely on N10 because Kaguri would have cooked him if it was just a one-on-one, right?
Yeah, no, you're right.
In that specific moment, but like now he got his mindset on swordsmanship got challenged by Kaguri early in the arc, and the whole thing with the arc is like we see Chihiro not only level up as a swordsman because he does get drastically stronger with AI White Purity style, he then locks in even further going up against that fake blind man at the end, but with N10. So he has all these like pieces that at his disposal now, and it was layered pretty nicely throughout the arc.
Yeah, man. Yeah, honestly, like the more I think about it, the more like, the more things pop up that you like remember and think like, "Oh shit, this is another reason why this arc was so good." And yeah, it's the flashbacks, it's the Yori stuff, it's even, things like if at the moment, even if at the moment we didn't really like and still like don't think the malediction reveal was the greatest thing, it is still something that happened in this arc, right? This was the Bloodshot Hotel, right, as well.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, and so like again, it's so much that's happening, and Hokuzono like goes back and forth, and in the present, like he keeps the action going, and the reveals from the past like bleed into what's happening in present day. Samura's whole like backstory, his motivations, like the complexity behind his character. There's just so much we could really get into that just is like evident why this arc took the cake.
We can move on. Which is one of the big ones, the best villain, which obviously, our boy showed out, Yura, 48%, the winner. I mean, like, I think it's kind of, to be fair, I've been bringing a recency bias, and I think, this could play, kind of recency bias could have a hand to play in this as well, because Yura has been, like, going crazy this arc. He has a lot of big moments, and he's been, like, standing on business.
Yeah, but also like we've been glazing him here for a long while, and like that's because he's been, putting in the work. The Hishaku move because of him. They move to his tune. They move according to him and whatever he wants to do. So yeah, this is one of those landslides where it definitely makes sense. To be fair, they all really made sense, but this is one I can get behind, I guess. And one that I completely like understand. Like I'm not surprised at all, especially like Kiora coming in second because he has his fans as well. But Yura is just him, right?
Yeah.
Yuhiko and Sojo, they also got their fans. I'm that's me right here.
Yeah.
But
3%ers.
yeah. But Yura, man, it's Yura.
Yeah, he's been. I mean, think about it. It feels like the whole story has gone by his design, all but Uraha coming back to back alive. That's the only thing that is without his reach at this point anyway. And then now, it's all like. It's all they're banking on a couple minutes, these like last couple minutes of what's going on in the universe currently is going to really pave the way for the story, in the long run and to the end, because this is going to shake up a lot of things, and Yura's been orchestrating all of this. And I didn't put Shaku's bitch ass on here because he don't belong.
Of course you don't.
All right. I mean, of course, Yura's going to win this. And this isn't rigged, but even if it wasn't, it would have been. All right.
Yeah, we would rig it.
All right. So this is the second to last category, the best fight. Of course, we got Bird Boy popping up, but our boy Chihiro versus Samura, 61, another landslide. Samura is like, if this was a true award show and they had to come up every time that they got called, Samura would just have his chair be installed up there.
Yeah, bro. It's kind of ridiculous at this point.
The fight is gas, though. I can't lie.
Yeah, I mean, I remember us saying like it was the best fight thus far. Like when week to week, when it was coming out, I remember us saying like this could be the best fight yet. And so it makes sense. Me
I did
personally,
vote for it too.
I didn't. So
I'm over here talking shit, and I voted for it.
No, me personally, man, I'm again recency bias. Maybe I'm a big sucker for that four-way, fight. Yura, Hokuto, the two other master swordsmen. Yeah, to me, it's unlike anything else we had seen in Kagurabachi, or we've seen in Kagurabachi, and so that's what's like makes it my favorite fight. But again, Chihiro versus Samura, you get it, right?
I think the Chihiro Hiyuki Hakuri versus Kiora fight is got disrespected a bit because, to be fair, that is probably the longest fight, longest continuous fight. There's no like cutaways. It's everything happening in those 10 chapters. Well, it doesn't take place in 10 chapters, but the final 10 chapters, I think it like takes maybe like 6 of them. Or maybe 5. But it's like Hakuri getting there, it's like Chihiro getting N10. Then, there's like it was like a boss fight. There's like 3 stages. Kiora was kind of like, and then when he whipped out the Magatsumi and that butterfly appeared for the first time, you remember how the fandom like freaked out seeing that butterfly? Like the Magatsumi finally being drawn, and we see why it's like so dangerous, that black liquid, and just decay and death as soon as like anybody touches it. But,
Yeah, no, it is wild that like it feels like in each pull one option really gets the short end of the stick.
yeah,
You
the
know, and in
best
some
villain was the most balanced, I think. Excuse me.
yeah, no, like in some polls, like we obviously had some for the memes and whatnot, and like in some it makes sense why one was just so far off behind, but in others it's just kind of like it speaks to the competition, right? Like I am a bit surprised that like Sojo, Chihiro versus Sojo, had more votes than that fight against Kiora. But again, it makes sense because of like the whole, the idea that it was in 12 seconds, that whole conversation between Chihiro and Sojo. And it's just kind of like it really depends on as Kagurabachi fans what we enjoy, right? And like what are our favorite aspects of the story, because there's so much to enjoy. And if like you said, like when it comes to the Magatsumi and Kiora, what we saw in that like fight was just some insane shit. But you can almost say that about every other fight in this poll. So it's just a testament to how great this story is.
I would argue that the choreography in the Rakuzaichi fight is better than the Chihiro Sojo fight. But like
Yeah.
that was to seeing 2 enchanted blades go up against each other was like, especially early on, and
Mm-hmm.
Sojo kind of helped pave the way for Kagurabachi going forward. It gave it kind of a solid footing, like a good villain to start us off right. Like I compare him to like Zabuza from Naruto, like a solid villain to like kind of start the series off, gives you like a good footing, and then you kind of go from there. And Hokuzono has capitalized on that with executing great fights going forward. And I mean, don't get me wrong, the Chihiro and Sojo fight was like cinematically, I think, like better cinematically. But from a choreography standpoint and art, I just think the Rakuzaichi fight was like noticeably better. But that doesn't really matter. It's like the bottom. Where I'm over here, being contentious about the bottom too. But
Yeah.
you did bring up a good point about like everyone's what people value. Like different people value different things in the stories. Like if they care about a character, what that character's moments might mean more to them than the actual moment itself, or what actually happened in that universe. So it's definitely different strokes for different folks. That's an old man
Yeah.
saying, kids. Okay, let me tell you something. Back in my day,
Yeah, and I mean, look, let's talk about the winner here, because it also makes sense why Chihiro versus Samura would come out on top, right? Like we talked about the N10 reveal, we talked about like Chihiro kind of taking himself to the next level through the True Realm, being able to replicate Samura's abilities, and his resolve was just unmatched at that point. So everything about that fight was nothing short of amazing. And so it makes sense why there's another landslide. Even if I have other biases, I get it, man. I get it. And I remember how excited I was reading that fight week to week. That was exceptional, like choreography.
cinema, as they say.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right, now for the final category, and this is a big one. The best character in Kagurabachi. And this one was super, super close, by the way. It came to like the very last few hours, and the winner of this category is Chihiro Rakuhira. Thank God, beat out Samura, 46% to 44%.
You were nervous there for a sec, huh?
Sweating, oh my God. But Chihiro took it, thankfully, and rightfully he should, in my opinion.
Well, I voted for Samura.
All right, you know what? Get out. No,
It's
respectfully
close.
though, yeah, like you can argue that Samura has better writing in the sense of like what we have, up until this point in terms of, Samura has a past that we can kind of like dig from, whereas Chihiro is still young, so it's him kind of like, coming of age, him like learning as he goes, where Samura is learning from his past mistakes, and we see like the the payoff of him learning from those past mistakes, as well as reuniting with Iori. There's already just so much built up for Samura, like right when he's introduced, for us to kind of build on. Whereas Chihiro, you would think him being the main character, he has the most development, but just in this like, I mean, Sword Bearer's assassination, I mean, just from like after the Rakuzaichi until now, it's like been the Samura show, right?
Yeah, and like I second everything you said regarding Samura, but on top of that, like I just want to add that for me, like a lot of what I enjoy about his character is what he brings to the story, right? Like his betrayal and his motivations for doing that, and the questions it raises in regards to like, what we're still kind of awaiting, which is everything in regards to the Seitei War. That's also like a big reason of why I kind of voted for him, because in regards to Chihiro, I also think the best is yet to come. I've been pretty vocal about like wanting to see more from Chihiro. I think he's a great main character that has like proven his resolve, and we've seen a lot of great moments from him. Um, but I think the best is yet to come, and I don't think it's not a crazy statement at all, right? But in regards to Samura, I just think that like he's right now more of a complete package in regards to writing and what Hokuzono has been able to say with his character. But like I said, it's close.
Yeah, and a lot of that is because, to like kind of piggyback on what you're saying, the best is yet to come. With Chihiro being the main character, his like massive payoffs, like his like Samura level payoffs, won't happen until later in the story anyway. Like we've gotten big payoffs, don't get me wrong, but think about the kind of payoffs that Samura is getting. These are like character defining moments, whereas Chihiro is going to get like steady build up, and we're going to see him grow, but like his like ultimate payoffs aren't going to happen until like the story is at its like highest stakes.
Yeah.
And I think still though, for me, what had me voting for Chihiro in this category was really like the Rakuzaichi and his conversation with Yura. We see like Chihiro is, what I appreciate the most about Chihiro is he's like a logical character. He kind of just looks at things head on. He just is handled. I appreciate the way he handles things, and he's believable. He feels authentic. He is just a kid, so when he's looking at the guy who orchestrated his father's murder, he couldn't help but instead of like trying to get information out of him, instead of trying to keep a cool calm head, the truest part of him like resonated to the top. And why did you kill my father? That moment is so like, it's just so heavy for me, because it felt like Chihiro, oh, we're reminded, yeah, he's done some like brutal shit by this point, massacred tons of people, like bad guys, but he's still just a kid. That's what reminded me, like, man, Chihiro's still just a kid, he's still that same kid, just his path just veered differently. And I feel then seeing, to Samura's inclusion in the story, like bringing Iori in and Chihiro now looking at Iori's life and wondering that, is that a life that he would have wanted instead of the memories he had with his father? But ultimately, he's, resolved himself and he's chosen to stand on business that this is the path he's chose because there's nothing in this world that'll make him not want the memories of his father. And, like he was instrumental in bringing Iori and Samura back together. So like Chihiro just kind of playing a big part in Samura's payoffs. It really it's just it hits really hard. Hokuzono's done a great job in character writing.
Yeah, no, those are good points, man. I could never, it's the reason why you'll never hear me hate on Chihiro, really. Like I can be, I can have some criticisms, but I would never hate on him as a character, nor how Hokuzono has really handled his arc so far, because there is like I don't want to say I'm not trying to argue at all that there hasn't been any sort of development. Like that's clearly been evident, and it's been really it's been really satisfying to see, the Chihiro that we saw in the first arc and the Chihiro that is convincing Samura to showing him the light, essentially showing him another way, right? And yeah, I can never argue against that. And like I said, my only point is that the best is yet to come. But you're right. There's been a lot of high points like the Rakuzaichi, like against Samura, and that's only going to be more of a trend going forward. I sincerely expect that. But yeah, man, I like I said, ultimately I could never hate on Chihiro, man. That's the MC, and he's a great one.
Yeah, he's built like that. I think another moment that just what made me want to vote for Chihiro over Samura, because I debated about voting for Samura myself, to be honest with you, because like I meme about him and all that, I'm still gonna be objective about things. You know what I mean? Because I don't ever want to like taint. The agenda bullshit can get that's for fun, but I'm always going to try and speak how I feel objectively about Kagurabachi. And at the end of the Rakuzaichi, the fact that Chihiro was able to reach Kiora and, just for Kiora to like realize, saying, you're right. Like that moment, like just the paneling, and I think the way it's presented is very moving. Like seeing Hakuri's like close up face and Kyora's like looking at him. Yes, Hakuri is the one who said, slay my father. But even then, you can't really blame Hakuri. Like the situation, these are just like distorted dark scenarios that these good, like Hakuri and Chihiro are put in, and that sometimes the answer is you have to slay my father, but that piggybacks off the fact of Chihiro wasn't able to kill Kiora. Chihiro wasn't able to kill Tenri or put Tenri down before he like imploded. You know what I mean? So like now Chihiro's facing Kiora with this resolve of trying to like equal up to the measure of what Hakuri brought to the table. And just the fact of Chihiro saying, I want us to be like equal partners. He's not trying to like form a syndicate. Like Chihiro's just I just really like him as a main character in Shonen Jump, and it's rare that Shonen Jump main characters are my favorite characters like within their story. But Chihiro's done it.
Yeah, no, I think you bring up more good points, because yeah, a lot of my favorite a lot of what I enjoy from the Rakuzaichi and the way Chihiro moves during the Rakuzaichi is him realizing that like he's not like Hakuri isn't necessarily playing second fiddle to him. Like he's so humble in how he is motivated by Hakuri's level of determination, even though like it's clear that, Hakuri isn't even nearly as capable as Chihiro, yet there's something in him that Chihiro can't help but feel motivated and driven to match him, right? So I think all of that is great and is even refreshing to see from a main character. And another thing I forgot to just bring up, because it is another point for Chihiro over Samura, is that I think a lot of what can be enjoyed from Samura as a character and his writing, especially how their fight kind of wraps up, is how Chihiro kind of plays into that, right? And how Chihiro directly impacts the way we see Samura, especially after his latest redemption, right? So even Samura as a character, we can't really look at him in a vacuum because of what Chihiro was able to accomplish recently. So even though I voted for Samura in this discussion and kind of reflecting on it now, Chihiro is deserving of that award for sure.
And the best news about this poll is Shiba came in last.
Well, he wouldn't even have been in it if it was my choice. But
I wish I would have, right? I wish I would have put Uruha in there, but I wish it would be able to give us more than 4 selections, but it just is what it is. I would have rather put, like, with hindsight, put Uruha in there. But
Chihiro would have won still, to be fair. It just would have been more of in my opinion, it would have been more of a decisive victory. I think Samura would have been the one to suffer if Uruha was in the poll, because I think that's where most of the, I think a lot of the people that would have voted for Uruha voted for Samura. I don't know, that's just kind of like the vibe I get. I feel like Chihiro fans ride or die,
Facts. And I mean, that'll do it though, right? That's all 10 categories. We did this really quick. We kind of got this idea up and running pretty fast. Like, as soon as they announced the chapter was going to be on sudden break, thank God, shout out to Hokuzono. I mean, most likely he's working on redrawing the art from the past few chapters to get ready for physical release, which sucks, but at least he's not working on to like a chapter deadline for the week. Hopefully he's getting at least a little bit more rest.
Yeah, that's ultimately, like, if he's getting at least a bit more rest, at least what's necessary for him to be healthy, then that's all that matters. And yeah, ideally this would have been like, perfect to do at 100 chapters, but we had to take advantage of the break week, and fuck it, what's 98, right? It's not much of a difference. But I also do want to say thanks to I think the amount of votes and just engagement from the community and the people, our viewers, just I was honestly a bit surprised and kind of taken aback by the amount of people that engaged in the poll. So I just want to say thank you. I'm genuinely really happy for everybody that kind of showed up and voted.
Yeah, well said. It's when I've done something like this where try to get community engagement and to like reflect in a video and on my main channel, and I was just happy to get like 40-50 votes. Most of them were like around that. So for like these to get all of them to get at least just about all of them are at 100, and I think one of them's at 140. It's insane. So we definitely appreciate the love. Hopefully we can keep engaging and do things like this down the road. Next time might now that we got this first one under our belt, we'll always try to build up from here.
Yes, sir.
And I guess we'll give a shout out and in honor of, because none of this could happen without Kunishige Rakuhira. So shout out to him.
Yep. No, we thanks for the $50 in the lighter, old man.
And that'll do it for us, and we will see you next week. Peace.